We're ready.
Okay. I don't have any adjustments to this agenda, so with that, I'll go ahead and call us to order. This is the regular meeting of Manassas Park Governing Body for October the 4th. We have before us an agenda. Governing body's pleasure on approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. If we could all rise for a moment of silence, please. Then, Michael, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next item is citizens' time. Do we have anyone who'd like to address the governing body tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have no presentation. The VRE information, the VRE information item is removed from the agenda as noted in the draft agenda that we have before us. It'll be at a later date. We don't have any recognitions tonight. Consent agenda consists of approval of minutes for September 20th, the Robinson Farmer Cox audit agreement, the proclamation of October 2016 as Mental Health Awareness Month, and the school second quarter appropriation in the amount of $10,291,803. Governing body's pleasure on approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. On to unfinished business, Keystone update. Miss Sid.
Good evening, Mayor, governing body members. Personal property tax bills were received on September 23rd, I think around about. We extended the due date to October 19th. Tax payment portal right now is being tested. They ran into a small glitch with partial payments. Winnie decided that we didn't want to stop and make the thing live just because of partial payments. So hopefully by early next week, we'll be able to go live with the payment portal with full payments only. And then we'll work on the issue with the partial payments. Real estate, there's not too much I can say about that because we're just now getting into it. Commissioner Revenue is making changes to assess values. Keystone has started their Tyler interface with updating the property assessments. I'll let you know more as we get into that.
Okay.
And supplemental bills, after we work on the tax payment portal and get that complete, we will start working on the people that did not receive bills for the partial.
Which will be the second bill that we discussed at the last
supplemental
meeting.
bill for the late
Right.
filing. Yep. And water bills have been going out on time. And
Okay.
we work on those issues as they arise.
Thanks. Questions from anyone? So if we get things worked out with the payment arrangement, get with Lana and let's get a notice posted on the fact that we won't be doing partials. It'll be full payments only. So we get something up on the cable channel and something up on the web if we
We'll do all
could. So
social media.
yeah, so we'll get as much notice as we can out to people.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business, on to the Berkeley Group, providing support for city transportation projects.
Yeah, this was something that Julia worked out before she left. We have a bunch of projects that are in the works. The Berkeley Group's participation in everything, I think, except the Connor Drive widening, has already been completed, and we needed somebody to kind of take over and keep that moving forward. So that's what this is. It doesn't say it on the task order, but the prices are a not to exceed, and they're based upon Drew's hourly rate of $150 an hour.
So the total not to exceed cost between the Manassas Drive Euclid intersection, Safe Routes to Schools, which is the sidewalk project going down Euclid to the high school, middle school, and Connor Drive extension, total amount $42,600 is the not to exceed value.
Yeah, I
Based
believe
on
that's
the
correct.
Page 30.
document, page 30 in the package.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that if it's on the document, that's the correct number, because
Okay.
that is what he figured out. And the big question was how he came up with those numbers, and we just heard tonight that was based on this $150 an hour rate, and it's a not to exceed, not a...
Could be less than that, but
Yes,
that's
sir.
the high order. And those dollars are available within the existing project work and project plan dollars. What's governing body's pleasure? We have staff recommendation to approve not to exceed amount of $42,600.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Got a question.
Yeah.
Is his salary, this $42,600, reimbursable through the transportation funds we're
Well,
receiving?
and I don't have an answer for that. I know that we have talked about that. I wasn't in the conversation, but that is, you're talking about the NVTA? Yeah,
Right.
there was a discussion with Monica Bachman. I wasn't in that, but my understanding is that some of that money, the cost for Drew can be reimbursed, and
I can forward a letter to you that was sent from Monica to the city and to Kim Alexander.
okay, that'd be helpful,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
please.
Okay, and that's going to
To
be,
you and John.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
and that's going to be due to 30% funds, if I'm right?
30% fund,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
NVTA 30% fund.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We have now, I'd like to have a discussion, and this is something that had come up between the vice mayor and me a couple of weeks ago, and then I've gotten some requests from a citizen who was not happy about the current state of our code in terms of the personal property tax, or personal property fees, rather, and the decal, and I'd sent a request to or for additional information to both the commissioner and to the treasurer. And then Winnie came back and suggested that perhaps as a part of the discussion, we should look at the elimination of decals. So what I wanted to do was open the discussion tonight to see if there is interest or in what would be entailed if we were to contemplate proration of personal property fees and contemplate the elimination of decals. Jeanette, you had asked a question of the impact in terms of enforceability and what that would mean to the police department. So from the PD chief, if we were to say decals aren't going to be required, is that going to cause an issue for enforcement from your guys' perspective?
We wouldn't be in the enforcement of it at all from that point on. That would be up to the treasurer.
Okay, so traffic stops, missing decal, you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Sure.
How much do we write as a part of that per year, a rough order of magnitude?
The exact number, it's going to be somewhere between 400 and 600
Okay,
violations a year. I think what you need to understand is the importance of those violations that are written. Many of those have not come to the treasurer and taken care of their outstanding stuff. That brings them to their office, and I think they'll speak to that part of the collection part of that.
okay. So Debbie or Winnie?
I got a question.
Too.
Probably for
Okay,
Chief
hold on.
Evans.
What John said, that does bring a
Let-
lot. Working with Officer Miller and whoever else is enforcing the decals do bring a lot of people to us to register for personal property. Right now with Keystone and their DMV downloads not working, Officer Miller is our only discovery item to get people in here to file personal property.
Okay.
Is
Preston?
Go ahead.
Is this then something that could be deferred until a later date when Keystone is working properly? Just a thought, just a thought.
Right, I
Yeah.
understand, I can't answer
Yeah.
that question.
Okay.
Okay.
There's definitely no urgency because it's been billed.
I'm sorry?
There's no urgency at this point because it's already been billed for the 2017 decal year. So it'd be something to look forward to for next year. Or
Okay.
whatnot.
Okay, thank you.
Preston?
This question is probably for Chief Evans. I'll wait for Silas. Hey, Chief Evans, from a police standpoint, I know Manassas Park is where we're located. We're kind of in a transient location between different jurisdictions, or even especially from going down 95, where we're kind of a hub city. I'm all for trying to, reduce how much people pay for the personal property decals, but from a police standpoint, in terms of safety and being able to keep track of who is coming through our community and who's in our community, how valuable is the decals?
As far as knowing who, we still get the same information from the registration of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The city sticker is pretty much an issue of that the vehicle is housed in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows our officers the opportunity to see if that vehicle's been parked at the residence for over 30 days
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't have a sticker, then the officer can identify that violation, cite it, which brings them down to City Hall here where they usually take care of the issue.
Okay, so not having the decals that wouldn't hinder any of your investigations or being able to survey who's coming in and through the community?
No, wouldn't hinder that at all.
Okay.
Michael?
I do have a concern because as I drive off my kids at school in the morning, I know one thing the school does is they look at every vehicle that's coming in to drop off students, and they see a lot of students that don't have that decal or coming in with different from out of the city, and they're using our schools. So I do have a concern there. The one thing I would recommend to look at is probably having a decal up for the life of the vehicle instead of being renewed every year. Ms. Treasurer, I have a question. Is that a recommendation that you would support, is having a decal just for the life of the vehicle? So go up from 25 to whatever the state allows. I think it's $39.
Well, right now, it is a permanent decal.
No, it is a permanent decal, but they have to renew it
Annual
but they have to renew it every year, and that's where the issue is with the residents. There's confusion, they don't get prorated. So if it was a one-time fee on the life of the vehicle, would that be simpler and easier for you?
It's not something that I've really given any thought to.
I know there's 14 jurisdictions that do that.
Because we have a permanent decal now. Somebody could have, because we started in 2012, somebody could have gotten a decal in 2012, not paid their taxes since then, still have the decal on their vehicle, not pay the annual renewal fee every year. And the police department doesn't know.
I agree, but the two don't have to be connected because it's a vehicle license, correct? It's not really, it does not have to be connected. Is that correct, Commissioner? The two are not connected. It's just a vehicle license.
Connected.
The decal is not connected to the tax. It doesn't have to be. It's actually a vehicle license under state code.
It's a fee, not a tax.
Yes, it's a fee. So those two are not connected.
We connect.
You connect them.
That's
Right.
the personal property tax.
Would your recommendation to be what I suggested to do it life of the vehicle? Would that be easier?
Not really, just because of the loss of revenue, Winnie would be able to better tell you how much we
Right.
get yearly in decal fees.
I think it's like 250,000.
Right, because part of my concern is like with new residents, and looking at the most recent statistical data from the Treasurers Association, there are only 2 jurisdictions in Northern Virginia that still have a decal besides us. So people moving here from other jurisdictions don't know about the decal, and that's where most of the complaints come from. Especially like this time of year when they get hit with the 2016 fee because
Right.
they were here for 30 days in 2016 and a 2017 fee at the same time.
Right, and that's where the confusion is. That's where the frustration for the public is. So I was suggesting, because I've seen 14 jurisdictions that have done this around the Commonwealth, that it just be the life of the vehicle. And basically, it's for the school piece of it, so we can track if people are in our school who shouldn't be. So it's just a thought.
Preston?
So if we do get rid of the decal, can we come up with a new strategy or a new way for, especially for new residents, to educate them or inform them that they do have to pay their personal property tax within this city? Is there a strategy we can come up with that other jurisdictions are doing who don't have the decal as well?
Well, and I think part of our problem that other jurisdictions don't have is so many people get confused between Manassas and Manassas Park too.
Correct, yeah.
That's definitely a huge issue.
Okay, and would we have to somehow type of work our offices with the police department as well in terms of enforcing this and making sure they have the information of who hasn't paid and who's paid so they can enforce it?
Well, we would enforce through the treasurer's office, through debt set-off and DMV stops, just like unpaid taxes.
Okay. Do we have any idea what the financial impact would be? Because the city's budget is excruciatingly close. The debt spiked, service spiked this year. It'll spike again next year by $2 billion. So do we have an idea?
Well, what we had looked at when we revisited this a few years back was doing what most of the other local jurisdictions do, where you charge the annual renewal fee. You, like Manassas and Prince William, charge a registration fee, but there's no decal issued to the vehicle. So there should be no loss of revenue as far as the registration fee, which is what we charge now. We just issue a decal when they pay that registration fee for the first time.
Okay.
So there should be no net loss.
Not,
No.
not that I would know of.
Okay. Okay.
Brian?
Was there, following up on that question, and this may be a question for Debbie, I thought some of the experiential data we had was that jurisdictions that went to no decal suffered a loss in personal property taxes. So that you were talking decal just now, right? Decal revenue?
Right.
But I thought there was actually a loss of personal property taxes. What was the experience of other jurisdictions? Am I recalling that right, Debbie? Was that?
That
That
was
is-
a concern
yeah.
the last time we visited this, because, as I said, with DMV not working through Keystone right now,
Mhm.
Officer Miller is the only thing that's helping us get people on the tax rolls for
Uh,
personal property.
Outside of the short-term issue that we're dealing with, was there still a concern? And was it quantified by other jurisdictions? Certain amount of loss of personal property
Manassas
tax?
City said that they believe they lost revenue. Prince William County didn't, because they're so large, and everybody that's practically in Manassas City and Manassas Park think they're in Prince William County anyway and register their vehicles.
They may be getting more money.
Yeah.
Even vice mayors that know they're registering it correctly, their dealer didn't know and registered it in Prince William County.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Well,
I know that.
I think it might be premature to do this until we have a better handle on the numbers.
The
as
intent
Debbie
was tonight
pointed
just to have the discussion and to get the topic on the table.
Exactly.
Because there's part two of this, and that is the request specifically from the citizen for a discussion of proration of the personal property fees. Right now, it's $25 flat regardless, and even if it's 30 days left in the year, it's still $25. And this is a situation where other places do prorate for, and I'm not talking about the taxes, I'm talking about the personal property fee, which would be the decal fee. And the request for us to consider as a part of that, whether we eliminate, she didn't specifically ask to eliminate the decal. That was a second-tier discussion from the email exchange. But a discussion of, would we be willing to consider a proration of personal property fees so that right now we do $25, and if you are a third way into the year, would we reduce the $25 by a third, or whatever the case might be? That was the requested discussion tonight from the perspective of the citizen. And we ran into some issues as well as we approached the 2017 bills going out and the ability to get the 16 decal. We couldn't do it because we were hung up with the 17 taxes going out, and there was a bit of a dance that went on there as well over the last, 25 or 30 days, something like that?
There's always an overlap when the bills go out, when we have to stop selling one tax year decal and start selling the next tax year decal. Because that's one way that we enforce the payment of the taxes is, or the payment of the taxes is, in order to get the decal, your taxes have to be paid. And that's by, I don't know if it's state code, but I know it's city code.
Right, but in this case, the person had the vehicle and they were paying 2016. We didn't have the 2017 bills out yet, and we still said we can't give you the 2016 decal or adjudicate that fee because we were waiting on the 2017 bills to go out.
We could.
And that was the
take
experience that she put in writing to me that I forwarded to you.
We could take the 2016 fee and provide a receipt, but we couldn't issue a decal because at that point it had to be issued in 2017. And
Why, when the
computers-
17 bills weren't ready to go out?
They,
Brian, you ran into the same thing, didn't you?
She's waiting on her sticker because, well, before it was until the bills went out. She stopped by yesterday, and now it's until the bill's paid, which is the 19th, so we're in that window, we're in that crease.
So, may I speak?
Sauce, please.
So, I don't understand this, the sticker issue, because I think we used to have the annual stickers. We moved away with the permanent stickers, which I think you can buy it at any point of time by paying $1. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vinny?
you can transfer during the tax year if you buy a new vehicle
Okay,
for $1.
right. So, how's that different from this particular citizen?
This was a brand-new car that she bought. Not a replacement, but an
Wasn't
additional
traded
vehicle.
in or- Right, she
So,
didn't
if you
have-
buy a brand new car, you can't get a decal sticker. Is that true statement?
$25.
You can, but you have to pay $25 for it.
Right.
And her suggestion is, because it was within basically a month of the end of the year, you were paying $25 for something that's good for 30 days, and we couldn't issue the decal because we were pending the 17 bill going out. But her real issue was, we were 11/12 through the year. We shouldn't be collecting the full value for that. It should be a prorated value, is the request that was there.
Well, I don't know, like, I mean, how it used to be done, when I first moved to Manassas Park, I moved, from another jurisdiction in Virginia, but when I moved here, I was asked to purchase a decal. I was not charged $25. I was allowed, an exemption because I had moved here in the middle of the year.
If you provide proof of a receipt from another jurisdiction, you only pay in one jurisdiction. So you can transfer from one vehicle to another, one jurisdiction to another.
I know. So why can't we extend the same kind of latitude if people purchase a new car? I think they're being good citizens and coming in, buying those decals. I think we can afford to forego that $25 for that given year, and then give them a sticker, and then collect that $25. My personal opinion, I think everyone has heard this. I am against personal property tax as well as the decals. It's nonsense. It's just continuing to drag forward. We used to have the $25, to recover the cost of the stickers as well as the processing and the stamp and all those things. But nowadays, you add the $25 right into the personal property bills, they go out. It's just ridiculous, I think we should do away with it. That's my personal opinion, and same goes for the personal property tax. In this case, I think we can afford to, allow people, if they bought a new car or, if they moved from another jurisdiction, sell them a $1 decal, and then eat the $25, and then the next year anyway it's coming on the personal property bills.
How many new vehicles, not replacement, but straight up new vehicles, do we enroll in any given year on average? Rough order magnitude.
I really wouldn't know how many are actually transferred. We put about 300 a month normally into the computer,
Brand new, as not replacement vehicles, but brand new?
but I don't know that part. The treasurer's office would know whether they're transferring them
This
or
may be an
whether they're
anomaly.
paying the $25. I don't see that in.
I don't know what percentage that would be of the new vehicles.
Okay.
Does it feel like a lot, or does it feel like a little?
The majority are transfers.
Majority are transfers.
But even if this is an outlier case, we should have a policy that recognizes that she's paying $25 for just 30 days, and we've got to do something to ameliorate the situation. So I agree. I mean, we should lessen that fee and have a certain cutoff date.
The decal fee was prorated before we went to a permanent decal. But in the Bright system, it wasn't a hard fee. So it wasn't collectible by DMV stop, by debt settle. So people would not people would buy a car in January and not come in until May, because then they knew they only had to pay half price.
So let me ask if there's general consensus, and if I think we're talking about, at best, a few hundred cars at $25 a copy, so we're not talking about a significant amount of money. To Suhas's point, would the governing body consider sort of one of two things? Either a proration of the fee that would, first of all, adjust it from 25 to 24, so the math is simple, and then basically it's $2 a month for whatever the period of time is. Or, to Suhas's point, for the first year of a brand-new vehicle not registered, you get a decal for $1, and then you pick up the full fee in the second year. Would the governing body be willing to consider one of those two options as we would consider moving something forward?
Do you want me to make that as a motion?
I'm
So
asking for point of discussion right now, because I think you'd favor something like that.
options.
I'd favor something like that. Would you favor something?
The maximum impact would be $5,000.
I don't think it can be much more than that.
Okay.
Would
I
you?
agree.
I like the proration concept where you, across the 12 months, you pay for the equivalent of one sticker.
Okay?
That was one of the scenarios, right?
That was the first scenario. We either say, we're going to change the fee from 25 to 24, and it basically is $2 a month for each month. So if you're into that last 30 days, it's $2. Or we say, the second scenario that was Suhas's proposal is, for the first year of a brand-new vehicle, not a replacement, but a brand-new vehicle, you get it for $1, and then you pick up the freight for the cost the next year.
That makes sense for the new vehicle. But the problem is we don't know how many new vehicles there are.
Yeah, so let's just
We
go
don't know
with
what the
option
impact
one.
will be.
Excuse me, you also don't know how long that person's gonna live here during that year. So if a person comes in December, we would charge them for however many months, comes up to October, 11 months, 10 months, whatever it is. But then what happens if they move out during that time period?
So candidly, to simplify this, in my mind, I think we should say, we go with Suhas's proposal that the first year is $1. And then if they're here in the second year, and understanding we've got a short-term issue to deal with getting the VDOT data, but if they're here for the second year, then they pick up the $25 fee unless we decide to do something. But that's a second-tier effort. But for now, to simplify this, first year, brand-new vehicle, $1 to me makes sense. Would that be acceptable to everybody?
You're talking first partial year?
I'm sorry?
First partial year?
For whether it's 11 months or 1 month, if it's a brand-new vehicle in the year they come in, $1. Then in the next round of bills, they pick up the full freight.
I agree. Let's specify brand-new vehicle, the first vehicle owned by this, by the
It's not a
citizen or-
replacement vehicle, so I didn't get rid of my 1999 VW and replace it with
Right.
something else. This is a previously unregistered, not replacement vehicle, but
Per that definition.
So it could be a used vehicle, just
could be
It's not a
used, but
replacement vehicle.
it's not a replacement vehicle, so that vehicle A is going and I'm replacing it with vehicle B.
well, there's
Trade-in is an example. We're not talking about a trade-in.
there's a related issue, and I don't know how often this occurs, but people moving out of state also are kind of pulled into that vortex, aren't they? Where, you know, if they show up and they register the vehicle, they have to pay the full $25 when they show
If
up.
they move from out of state?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so
So
there's,
that would be, brand new, first time for those vehicles, $1.
so the first time that they're registering in the city,
First time that vehicle's being registered and not a replacement for anything that was previously owned and registered in the city, $1.
okay, so that covers
For the
both of
first
those
year,
scenarios
yeah.
then, okay.
That's what I think you're suggesting, and to me, that
make it
makes sense.
simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to hone this definition
We
down.
don't know what the financial impact of that will be.
We have to bring it
Well,
back
we-
as an ordinance amendment anyway, so we could have that financial impact by the time we do that,
Yeah, I would want to see the impact before voting on the ordinance.
right?
Brian?
I'd just be interested to know if it's, so it seems simple conceptually, is it simple to administer, and is it simple to configure in systems?
I don't know about software capabilities at this point.
Forget the
honestly.
forget the troubles. If we weren't having system troubles, is there a cost to configure, and is there a unique requirement to administer something like that?
That would be more the Commissioner of the Revenue's office. I just collect what she tells me to collect.
And maybe that could be part of what might be a bring back if it comes in the form of an ordinance.
As it stands right now, we don't have a way to do that.
Ah.
All our fees go in as either $25 or $10.
But that, to me, is a simple matter of you're adding a new vehicle, and then if we have to add a figure that's instead of $25 says $1
No,
for
I'm
its,
saying that it's hard coded.
I understand, so we would have to adjust that.
Right.
That's my point.
I mean, if it's that simple a change, no
Yeah.
biggie. I'm just curious if,
All right.
I just hadn't, thinking through the administration logistics of somebody showing up and the scenarios of out of state, the scenarios of is or isn't a replacement vehicle, and what that impact is to the administration of the office.
So is that an acceptable something for the staff to go take a look at and then have the answers to us and then bring back, assuming that there are no, overarching issues or things that derail, then to bring back a proposed ordinance for us? Is that
Or an
acceptable?
overarching financial impact.
That's one of the things.
Yeah. Also, if Keystone, how much time is going to take for them to modify or create a code for that within the system? Because I know that's always been a problem with their customizations.
Given the relatively few numbers of brand-new vehicles that we get, I can't imagine that within the next 120 days, that's not doable. And if
Right.
that means I need to have a conversation with Judd separately, so be it, if we decide we want to go that route.
Well, it doesn't have to be a modification of the system, it's not a system issue, it's a process issue. We just have to come up with a process how to handle this and, apply that into the system.
So do we have agreement then that that's the way we'll go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have that in form of a motion from someone then?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. So we will get back, I'll draft something up as a response to our citizen and let them know kind of where this is. I promised after tonight's discussion I'd give some feedback. I'll bounce that to y'all for a look-see to make sure I don't get this twisted up, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Are you planning on making this retroactive? Because obviously you have a few citizens who have been hit with this, so we'd have to refund money if we did.
That's,
At this point, that wasn't a part of the consideration here. This is from this point going forward at whatever point in time. I don't know how we could do it any other way.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll bring back an ordinance then that
That would be effective,
whenever.
yeah,
Effective
at
on that
passage,
date.
I guess.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Managers report. Chief,
Two things tonight. First one is the fire department open house, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm not sure if Chief Dixon has anything to add to that.
No, it's our annual open house, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. We'll have water to play with, for sure.
And the weather was topic number 2. The Chief and I have been monitoring the storm through conference calls. We've got another one tomorrow. It does look like we're going to get hit somewhere around Friday evening, Saturday, all day. So we'll keep you informed on what's happening.
and if we need, EOC will go up in a monitoring status so that we would qualify should anything happen for any refundable dollars.
Yes, sir. We'll
Okay.
be ready.
Understanding we'll do it remotely potentially, but if we have to, let's make sure that everything's teed up in case we have to run. And let's hope that the beast goes offshore. And for those who are religious in nature, let us pray for the poor folks down in the Caribbean. Some parts of Haiti got 40 inches of rain today. From the reports that I saw, the inland parts are particularly hard hit, and the sources of potable water are wells and springs, and the story was virtually all are now contaminated. So let us hope that this thing stays offshore and doesn't hit. But right now, the revised track has it coming further west and striking Florida, and then coming up the coast and targeting the Carolinas. They don't know what it's going to mean for us yet. So I would encourage anybody who's watching to stay tuned to the local news radios, WTOP, and those kinds of stations to monitor the track, because the one thing about hurricanes is they are unpredictable. As much as we think we know, those are storms that don't generally follow the exact track. Anything else?
No, sir, that's all.
You have a motion for us for a closed meeting?
I do indeed. I recommend the governing body go into closed meeting to discuss and consider the disposition of publicly held real property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the city, to discuss a prospective business where no previous announcement has been made of the business's interest in locating in the city, to consult with the city attorney regarding a specific legal matter requiring provision of legal advice by the city attorney, and to discuss the award of 2 public contracts involving the expenditure of public funds and the terms and scope of such contracts, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the governing body, pursuant to paragraphs 3, 5, 7, and 29 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Governing body's pleasure. I'm going into closed meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Point of clarification, I believe we have 4 topics in closed meeting tonight, right?
Right, there's 4. The one of those topics actually is covered by 2 of those citations.
And so depending on, we will have some invited guests for the closed meeting topics, depending on which one we're dealing with. I'm going to ask, just from the perspective of expediency, if we can deal with the session that has Ms. Decker and Mr. Truding with us first, and then Mr. Mason will call you in for the second item if we could.
Thanks, Joe.
With that, Lana, if you would, shut the gear down, and we'll convene in closed meeting